Hello, good afternoon. My name's Chief Inspector Kerry Blakeman. I'm the local policing Chief Inspector in Coventry, and I'm here in the south of Coventry with Mr Todd, who's been a recent victim of burglary. The reason that I'm here today is that Mr Todd has taken part in a survey which has been conducted by West Midlands Police to try and find out what kind of service members of the public are receiving when officers attend. Recently Mr Todd was a victim of burglary and came home one evening to find that his house had been broken into. Mr Todd, can I just turn to you and ask you, what was your views? Clearly you've been distressed at having found that your house had been broken into, but what was the attitude of the officer like towards you on the night?
Actually, when the officer arrived, I was sitting in this room here. I was very distressed, and my daughter was dealing with most of the things, but the officer came in and was reassuring, and also when they came in, they arrived within about half an hour of us, my daughter phoning them up.
Okay, so clearly you're obviously upset about the fact that you returned home. Okay, and as I say, was the officer sympathetic to you? Did you think he was showing, caring for you?
I think that was absolutely marvellous, the way they conducted themselves.
Okay,
well, really do.
That's really good to hear. As part of Operation Serve and Protect across the whole of the West Midlands, both our headquarters departments and our local policing departments are conducting interviews with victims of crime across the whole of the West Midlands. Here Mr Todd has obviously unfortunately been a victim of burglary, but he's had some really good service from one of our officers, PC Cooley. And I've been speaking to a number of victims this week, and PC Cooley's name does crop up quite frequently in terms of the way that he engages with the public and treats them and cares for them. So I'm really pleased to hear this good feedback from Mr Todd. It's important that as part of Operation Serve and Protect that we're ensuring that our victims are getting the best service that they can. In terms of the burglary that Mr Todd suffered, we're currently continuing our investigations in relation to the incident, and we have a number of forensic lines of inquiry that we're actually progressing. What I would just like to say is here in Coventry we've actually got 286 fewer victims of burglary in the last 12 months. This week you may have read one of my tweets where I showed that officers had actually taken a burglar from prison to do a drive round a particular neighbourhood in Coventry. And talking to this burglar, he was saying to us that he targets houses in the evening where there's no lights on. Speaking to Mr Todd earlier, he'd been out and didn't leave a light on. So it's something as simple as leaving a light on a timer, which costs about £3 or £4 from the local DIY store, can make a real difference in preventing burglary dwelling in your home. Also this week we've released a top 10 tips on how not to become a victim of burglary. If you go to YouTube and type in top 10 tips to keep your house safe, you'll just get a 2-minute video about how you can prevent yourself from being a victim of burglary. As part of Operation Serve and Protect, we'll continue to speak to victims to see what kind of service they've got. I've tweeted about some really good examples of where we've given good service, but I've also tweeted about where we haven't got things right. If you want to have your say about any kind of service that you've received from West Midlands Police, please visit www.rateyourlocalpolice.co.uk. If you've had good service, please leave us good feedback. If you've been unhappy with the service that you've received, feel free to leave that kind of feedback. And what we do is we'll make a commitment to actually look into it and see if we can provide some feedback to you to try and make you a little bit happier. So I'm really grateful for the fact that Mr Todd has allowed me into his home today, just to be broadcast live on the internet about the kind of service that he received from Coventry Police here in the West Midlands. So thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, and please stay tuned on Twitter, and I'll be broadcasting more feedback from victims as we continue through the month of March. Thanks very much.